It's the eve of the feast of Saint Therese, and in fact, it's the very day on which Therese died 124 years ago. Her last words were, "My God, I love you." Her sister Pauline describes what happened as she died in the convent infirmary, how after intense agony all was calm again. She says, "Suddenly her eyes came to life and were fixed on a spot just a little above the statue of the Blessed Virgin. Her face took on the appearance it had when Therese enjoyed good health. She seemed to be in ecstasy. This look lasted for the space of a creed, then she closed her eyes and expired. It was 7:20 p.m. So Therese had acquired a lovely serenity towards the very end, but it wasn't always so. For the last 18 months of her life had been torture, most of all because of a great darkness of soul that was her heaviest cross, even more than the excruciating physical pain she suffered from her tuberculosis. She describes this dark night of faith in vivid detail in her autobiography. She writes, "Jesus permitted my soul to be invaded by the thickest darkness, and the thought of heaven, up until then so sweet to me, was no longer anything but the cause of struggle and torment. This trial was to last not a few days or a few weeks. It was not to be extinguished until the hour set by God Himself, and this hour has not yet come. One would have to travel through this dark tunnel to understand its darkness." Although she rarely spoke about what she was going through for fear it would frighten others, she did say subsequently to one of the nuns, "I no longer believe in eternal life." That's how bad it was for her. We know, of course, that Therese never ceased to believe because she's a saint today, but as regards how she felt, it made no difference. She literally ate what she called the bread of atheists and sat at their table. She knew what it was like not to believe, and she was pushed to the very extremity of suffering. It's almost as if she herself had to be the best exponent of her own little way of blind trust that she was to pass on to thousands of people, and that it was tested in her in a way that it would never be tested in anybody else. Previously, she had often wondered how it was possible for people not to believe, because things were so crystal clear to her. But now she said, "Jesus made me feel that there really are souls without faith." And this powerful intuition becomes a costly grace for her, a purifying darkness, and ultimately a new mission field for Therese. She accepts this darkness in order to beg pardon for unbelievers, as she said, and she declares her willingness to sit as long as God wills at this table with unbelievers, sharing, as she said, the bread of pain and the table full of bitterness where these poor sinners eat. Her insight into the lived actuality of atheism leads her immediately to see unbelievers as her brothers and sisters, to an identification with them. She embraced the darkness as part of a mission to the atheists of her time, indeed of our time too, becoming a companion to all those who struggle with faith. In a world of secularism, materialism, and unbelief, what a wonderful friend to have, sharing the struggle and literally being faith for those who have none. For anybody struggling with faith, they're in good company, for they have Therese as a companion. One thing she continued to be certain of was that while not knowing whether she believed or not, she did know that she loved, and that was enough for her. The power of her love carried her through everything. And so, while, as she said, "I never believed it was possible to suffer so much," she also said, "I do not regret having given myself up to love, to having given Jesus everything." All her suffering, particularly in the latter part of her life, was shot through with love. She was fond of quoting her favourite book of the Bible, the Song of Songs, which says, "For love one will give up everything and think nothing of the loss." It's the power of Therese's love through it all that made her the saint that she is, and makes her such a staunch ally and friend to all of us who are still struggling in this valley of tears.